Hey everybody, Rachel here from Rachthestamper.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make this really fun card. Now, you could also make this instead of doing it, this is this piece, I originally cut it from here. Instead of doing it with white cardstock, you could also do it with window sheet, acetate, the stuff that comes in the back of your stamps. If you're looking for another way to use it, you want to use a thick piece, not the flimsy piece. But basically, we're going to be laying 2 pieces each of 3 colors. I originally toyed around with more, but it was almost too much. Onto a piece of white, then we're going to die cut it. Now these dies, what are they, you might ask? These are the Everyday Details dies. They have a lot of fun aspects to them. So 2 of them are double-sided, so there's a rectangle that cuts inside and out. And then you have 3 smaller rectangles, the lines, the crisscross stitching. There is a double circle, so we'll do the inside and the outside, and then this larger circle is the one we're going to be using today. So we also used this, which is called the Cane Weave. This is a 3D embossing folder, and that does the background, just because I felt like it needed a little something extra. And then here we are using the Happy Little Things dies. Instead of the Best Day Ever, I just cut it down to be Best Day Ever, because I thought almost it was really cute without it, but gives it a little bit of something. So what we're going to need is one of these, and I have my dies minus this one, which I meant to put back on here, but I keep these when I do this for Stamp Club. If we're using dies, I kind of put all of them for one project together. I get these from Stampin Storage. There is a link below if you'd like to get them. They make lots of really cool stuff. And you are going to need a piece of grid paper. Now when I did this, I am fairly certain I did it with the centimeters, but when we were lining it up yesterday, it was just a teeny bit off. So I'm going to show you how to do that part first. The only ink we have for this is coral for our sentiment. So I'm going to open this up. And let me see. I'm going to lay this down. Let's see what we have. So we have 2 1/2-inch strips of each. We just have a 4x4 piece. And yeah, I feel maybe I didn't do that. Maybe I did do it on this one. And I could have lined it up. Well, we'll see. So what we're going to do is you kind of start by lining this up. And I line this up at the bottom. And what I'm going to do is just glue it. Make sure you can see me here in the frame. Go up a little bit. I put this one at the bottom, so my lowest piece that's glued on is here, and then we'll go up 1. Yeah, it is a. I must have used this side. Let me see if I can go to this side. It's not quite as busy. You know, there's lots of life left in this paper, so of course I don't want to get a new one. Now you can tack this down if you want to, but you don't need to. But what we're doing is we're going to begin with liquid glue. We're just going to put liquid glue across the back of this. And I find starting at the bottom for myself is easier. So I'm going to glue this right here so it just matches a line at the bottom. I'm just using these grid lines. So these are at the very bottom. And then I'm going to glue the next one right at the next edge. Yep, that looks pretty good. So we're going to line here. So I have this lined up, and then I'm just putting this at the bottom. And the nice part about the liquid glue is you do have that little bit of wiggle room. And if it's a little bit differently spaced, that's fine. But we have 2 pieces of petal pink. Then we have, this is going to go at the top, the Calypso Coral. 2 pieces of Peach Pie. Boy, I don't know. I don't think you guys can hear through here, but church next door is it jamming. They're just calling Jesus down on this day. The way things are going, Jesus is going to be putting us all in timeout, huh? So we're going to go 1 more. And it doesn't have to be perfect, so you can kind of eyeball it if you don't like this measurement method. Or if you're really, really stringent about your measurements, you can completely do what you want to do. Just try to make them straight is the most important part. So that's pretty much it. So then, and again, these are always going to look a little bit different. So I'm probably not going to get quite as much on each one. But the other cool thing is I was trying to think of something you could do with the cutoff and do with the negative space, which I think would make a really cool card as well, but I haven't gotten to something yet. So we're going to cut this out. Also, we're going to cut out, and I probably have some scrap here that, you know me, I'm going to just use. We're going to cut out 2 of the palm leaves. We're going to cut out a stem. We're going to cut out a little piece of grass, and these are from the Beach Happy stamp set. So I'm going to try to do a few of these. See if I could fit some of this in. I don't think I could fit that there. We'll do these 2 and see if I can get one of these on here. We'll put one here. And because I am just all about getting the most out of my supplies, especially nowadays because everything is expensive. So we're going to take all of these things, we're going to die cut them. So I'm just going to layer these about on my die cut machine. See where I can get these little pieces here. Get this one. This probably, we don't even need the rest of this whole situation here. This here. And just make sure you have enough space for your dies, because I did extremely accidentally actually overlap a piece here, and it actually put an indent from one die to another into my die, which I did not think was possible, but it happened. And then we have one last thing that we're going to emboss. Oh, I got to die cut this other little baby too. So you have all of our die cut pieces. So I'll save this for something else. Move these over. That also kind of gave that glue just a little bit to dry, because you don't want to, oops, oh, I glued that one down just a little too well to the paper. You don't really want to be cutting stuff with your die cutting machine if your glue is super wet. So we're going to just put this through. Now, I did talk about this before, and let me show you. I'm actually going to do it another way. I want to show you what you can do. So if you're die cutting, we obviously have multiple pieces of paper here. So you have your paper that we stuck it down to. We have all these different layers, and sometimes that actually will make it a little bit more difficult to die cut through. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip this upside down. So now the back of the die is making pressure with the rollers from the embossing or die cutting machine, and we're going to just roll this back and forth, and I'm going to show you that this will be easier to get out. So you do end up with a lot of little holes here, and you can see a couple of them already popped out. But if you ever have the problem where you can't really get your dies to come out as easily as you think you should, try running them through so the die portion is cutting facing up, and that usually solves the problem. Now this is really supposed to be super, super light tape, but I find that the first time you use it, it has like a little bit more stick than you realize. So now most of these should fall out, but if they don't, kind of give them a little wiggle first, and then usually what I do is I still go in with my little piercer. So we're just going to pop these out, because it definitely looks cooler if you have the holes popped out, just because you can see the background. So there's that. Almost there. Only thing we have to do is emboss something, and then we'll put our card together. So you can get all the supplies to create this card if they are all still available online. I don't think I have anything that's on the online exclusives in this from my online store, and there are the links below for everything that you might want to purchase. So I'm going to put this over here. Then we're going to switch, because we are going to do some embossing. And for embossing, if you're still using a Big Shot, if you're lucky enough to have the blue plate, that is what you want to use. So we have our 4 by 5 1/4 piece. This is the cane embossing folder. I always line it up at the bottom so that I make sure it's straight. Put this through, and you're feeding the fold in so it presses the air out One other time I said it was the other way, and it is not. So anyway, fold goes in forward. Fold first. Okay, and when it comes out, it's super deeply embossed, which is really, really pretty. So now all we have to do, we have one other thing. We have our inside panel, and then we have our little scrap for our sentiment. Let me just move all these little doodads out of the way, and we will put this together. So these palms, you'll notice that they can be either way, but I find that they do fit together a better way than, so if you were to do one under the other one, and you kind of have to look at them to be able to see, but we're going to pop this one up onto a dimensional. So let me get all these little dots. Figures I just vacuumed. Now I have little dots all over the floor, and I try not to put them onto the floor necessarily, but I feel like no matter what, they just always end up there. Okay, so we have our black card base, basic black. I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I do wish we had a thick basic black. I think our black is thick enough, but I just always wish it was just a little thicker. We're going to put glue on the back of this. Because it is a 3D embossed folder, definitely don't be skimpy with your glue. You don't want your cards falling apart. The cards that I put together in the beginning of my crafting career, I have a feeling probably did fall apart because I wasn't super glue heavy. You definitely don't want to cheap out on the glue. Okay, and then we have this. Again, I have the lighter at the bottom. If I can find my... Oh, holy heavens, what did I do? Oh, here it is, right under here, my sample. So it's not too far down. I did not put this up on dimensionals. The only dimensionals I put in were for this little piece here, the grass, and the second part of the palm tree. So same thing again, it is a little bit of a heavy piece, and it is going into something that is 3D embossed, so make sure you are generous with your glue. I'm going to find that stacked a little bit more than halfway up. I'm trying to keep it straight. Then we have our pieces here. I toyed around with putting adhesive sheet on the back of these, but the problem is you can't pop them up if they have adhesive sheet on them. So then that's why I decided against it. This one I'm going to put a very small piece of, if I can hopefully find a mini black dimensional. Yes, right in the center there. It should fit perfectly. And the nice part is it's black, so you won't see it. So when you flip it around, once you take that off, there's a little piece that sticks out, but it's really negligible. So you kind of have to decide where you want to put your palm tree. And because you have all of this fabulous palm, your tree can actually be a little bit taller than you want it to be. So looking at this, you're probably thinking like, Rach, that is not very covered up, and you can see that there's a gap. But when you put the second one on top, you really won't see it. So we're going to kind of go like this, I think, and then like this. So I'm going to put some glue. Don't go crazy. I mean, if you put it too far apart, you're definitely going to see it. Put a little bit of liquid glue. Put this down. Okay, and then we have our piece here that's flat. So I'm going to put some liquid glue on the back of this. And luckily this does dry clear, so just in case. And actually, you know what? I think I did them backwards. I did, because the other one was the one that I put down, facing down before, so I botched that up. Well, we're doing this opposite way this time. So I'm going to put this up here. It's not quite as high up. And then this one will be a little bit lower. Yeah, should have been the other way. Oh well, it's life. And then this, I'm going to put a little piece of dimensional. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it down because I don't want it to be too long. And you could use foam strip, but again, I'm trying to have this, since it's black and it kind of blends in, you can't really see that there's parts above there, which is why I went with the black. There we go. And I do sometimes complain that the mini dimensionals get on my nerves, but boy, when they are are being used, they're amazing. I'm so fickle. Okay, so just give this a nice press. Now, if you want to, you could also put a little dimensional on the back here and here, which I think now I might actually do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up, take the top off of a piece, and I'm going to use just my piercer little edge here. And I'm going to put one right here. And I'm going to put one right here. Looks good. Just going to take this little fella off. And I think I'm going to put one up there too. I could have done that on the first one. Who knows? Sometimes I make these so far in advance I can forget what I did. That way I have a little bit more stability. And also when I did this, I just put a little dot in the middle, and having the strip is much nicer at the bottom. Okay, so that's it. Almost done. Very last portion of what we're going to do. I'm just sitting that there for now. And where is my best day ever? Just gonna put this onto a block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink it so it's only inking these words. And the way you do that is just by holding it over on the edge here. Get that, and then I just wipe off the E with my finger. And we're going to just stamp this because I'm really only going to cut it super, super close. So even if you got the in there, you could still cut it off anyway. Okay, and we're going to just give this a trim. So I'm trimming right up to the bottom of the Y, close and straight as I can get to the top of the B and the D, cutting off this little piece here, cutting off this piece here. Looks pretty good. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take a little piece here of the black mini dimensional edging, put that on. I don't even think I raised it on. Actually, I didn't raise it on the other one. I just glued it straight down. So it really could be whatever way you want to do. Okay. And take this. And we're going to stick this right here. Now, one thing that I usually do, which I didn't do with this, is put a little bit of liquid glue on the back. That way, if you want to adjust it, it gives you that time period that you can move it, because the liquid glue with the dimensionals gives you like a little bit of wiggle room. And then the only other thing we need to do, and I don't think I put anything in here, no, is just add in your inside card panel, which will be just like this, and that's it. So I hope you guys liked this. Now I did use, there is just a slight difference here. This is Coastal Cabana here. No, Flirty Flamingo here. Coastal Cabana here. So there is just the slightest difference in the two, but I think they're very, very pretty regardless, no matter which one it is that you pick. You can see that the ink matches this one a little better. This one you can't really tell quite as much, probably just because it's dried and set for so long. But you could do this with lots of different styles. You could do it also with blues, I think would be really pretty, or also with like a sea green combination of colors. But the other cool thing is I'm going to try to figure out something to do with my negative space that I didn't do. That's going to take me a little bit to work on, but when I do, I'm going to try to make sure that I link it back into this video as well so you can see. So I thank you so very much for watching. If you'd like to get any of these supplies, you can always find them in my online store. As long as they're in stock, they will let you know that they are there to be able to be purchased. 3 ways to support my channel: like, subscribe, share with your friends. Leave me a comment if you have any questions, suggestions, or anything else. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.